Okay, I think we are recording now. Well, listeners out there, happy Mother's Day. And in honor of Mother's Day, I have a mother on the line, Megan Riley Wilson. Did I pronounce that right, Megan?
You did great.
Well, thanks. Well, happy Mother's Day. We've been friends on Facebook for a little bit. I've been watching your stuff. I love your pictures. And I was like, she looks like she would be a good conversation. So thank you for coming on, Megan.
Yeah, you're welcome.
You doing all right this morning?
I am perfect. I have been up since 5 a.m. as usual. So I'm doing good. This is afternoon.
How many cups of coffee so far?
I'm on my third cup of coffee.
I'll catch up with you. I think I'm on my second. Well, thank you for spending time with us, Megan. So I won't hold you up because I know you got kids and Mother's Day stuff to do today. So let's just get started. Tell us a little bit more about you because we'd like to get to know you personally.
Personally, I mean, I feel like I kind of don't have a personal existence right now since I started this business.
Right.
But if I were going to have a personal life, what it would look like is, I mean, yes, I'm a mom. I have 3 kids, and I'm a soccer coach, which I'm really involved with our local soccer team. It's so awesome, and we were undefeated this year.
All right.
United. Yeah, it was really awesome. And I was reading through some of your stuff. It said you wanted to be an artist when you were a kid. Well, I actually went to school for art, stupidly. Yes, really stupidly. But it is what it is. Oh, what do you have? Are you still active?
Yeah, a little bit. Yeah, I don't know if you can see this. I did that.
Oh, I can see it.
The marsh. This is actually my studio / junk room.
Oh my gosh.
I don't know if you can see that.
Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh. I love it. I love it.
Let me show you one that, now later, this is crazy. I was messing with some colors. Check this out. This is a battery in Charleston. I don't know if you can see this one.
Oh my gosh.
I went, you know what?
I want one. I want a Preston painting. Oh my gosh. I want a replica or something.
Well, thank you.
This is, I mean, this is an
cool.
elephant and
I like
a
it.
loom. We have a bunch of just stuff everywhere.
Awesome.
A piece of furniture I did.
Oh, I like it. I love the knobs too, the animal print. I have some pants that would match the knobs on it. And I'm not kidding about that either.
I bet you do. That's so funny. Yeah.
Let me ask you this. When you were a kid, did you use all 64 crayons in that coloring box?
You know what? I only remember the sharpener. I only remember the sharpener, like you could get that box and on the back, if you were really lucky, it was a built-in sharpener.
Oh yeah, that was cool.
I was like, yes, sharpener. But my mom was always like, she wanted to get the smaller boxes. And then, no, we had to get the sharpener.
Right. When I had that 64 crayon box, I left no crayon uncolored. That was, I felt like we had to use all colors. And I think it's manifested itself into my wardrobe these days. But
I feel you on that. So yours is pants. And as a lot of people know, mine is socks.
I've seen that.
Okay, I have a thing. It's my thing. I mean, like, it's a disturbing thing. I have a pile. We have something called a sock party here,
right,
where we pull all my hundreds of different weird socks that haven't been matched up in a month and try and find the match. That's real life. So you want to know Megan intimately? Sock party night.
I hear you. Well, cool. Well, so you wanted to be an artist. So did I. Tell us though, what have you done up to this point, and how did you get into home inspection?
So I went into college for art, and that was a bust. Then I was a perpetual student. I actually went to college for 6 years.
I did 5.
Did you? Okay, then you know what kind of like pain that is. I love studying. I'm a nerd. I'm total nerd at heart. I'm fine with it. I've accepted that a long time ago. And anyway, so I went to college. I got a 4.0. I had a social work degree. And then I met my husband. I hated social work, by the way. And then I met my husband, and he was a broker and a appraiser. So instead, because I hated social work so much, by that point I thought the system is broken. I was sort of veered into real estate that way. And every time we met home inspectors out and about, he was like, "You really need to do that," because I'm very hands-on kind of person. Anyway, obviously some of that's from being an artist, as you probably know, like getting into things and figuring them out and picking them apart. You know, like my washing machine's been broken before. I've pulled open the panel on the back and started tinkering with it. You know,
Wow.
I just think that's a little bit of that creative brain, probably.
Right.
And so finally, well, to make a long story short, I started studying for it, and then met somebody I could follow and train behind. And then so a year ago from right now, I launched my business.
Oh, wow. You're doing well. You're doing well.
Yeah, I'm amazed. My first few months, I thought, what was I thinking? What did I do? You know, I've made the biggest mistake of my life. You know what I mean?
Right.
December was a turnaround point for me. I know December's a slow time for everybody, but it wasn't for me. It was like the consistency of everything that I had been doing sort of funneled into one area and came together finally, you know.
Right.
It's been progressing ever since.
Let me ask you this. Now, I know a lot of listeners out there say, "Hey, you do a good job, you know, word of mouth, whatever, it will spread." And a little bit, I'll agree with that, but you got to do something to get your name out there. So what have you done, you know, in that year or prior to that year to get your name out there? Because you're obviously doing well.
Well, I tried to do the whole, originally, the first few months, I tried to market to agents the wrong way. I was bringing things by and, you know, trying to talk to the lady at the front door, but not getting anywhere, you know, because I call them the gatekeepers.
Right.
You know, have the office managers up there, and I could never get past them. And I fumbled over my words a lot. I was like, "Hi, my name is Bridge. My name is Megan, and I'm with Bridge." You know, I just I'm a really like nervous anxiety person. So the one-on-one contact for me for the first like several months was just terrible. It was terrible. Like, it was probably like a bad movie, you know, a funny comedy that you were like, wow, she just really messed that up. But I started meeting new agents, and instead of trying to market to them, we just sort of became friends. Honestly, that sounds not as bad as maybe it. It's not as bad as it sounds. We organically became friends through our being new in an industry. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
And those agents started to, I said, well, let me, you know, after a while, let me share you one of my reports, you know, and that kind of thing. And the newer agents that I have met are on fire right now. And they call me, and I'm going to tell you, I am amazed and humbled every single time that they call me for another inspection. I'm like, oh, that means I did it right last time. Even though I delivered a bad news, I have one of them. They tell their clients, the buyers, that they've nicknamed me the Dream Crusher, but they still use me.
Right. Well, that dream will be crushed after they move in if they didn't use you, and it's better to be realistic before you sign the papers.
Right. So
then it'll be called the money pit. So you would rather have the dream crusher than the money pit.
Right, exactly. You got one or the other.
Right. Well, let me ask you this, and I'm going to try to frame this the right way. The elephant in the room, and I had a woman inspector, and she was great. The thing I was concerned about, and I'm sure you hit it a little bit, probably. I mean, we are in the South. You're in Georgia. I'm in North Carolina. There are some old, good old boy. Hey, what's the girl know? What's she know about it? I'm sure you bump up against that, but actually it was quite the opposite when I got into it. I had reservations. I mean, I didn't have reservations, but I told her, you might hit this. Not me personally. I live in a house with 3 women. They're all smarter than me. They're all smarter than me. I might be smarter than the dog. That's the only one that's,
Right.
I get it. I think I'm all about women power. I'm just telling you how the
world,
the good old boys out there might treat you. And it wasn't that bad at all. In fact, it was quite the reverse. And a couple of things. First of all, majority of your real estate agents are women. And a lot of them, like you said, are these younger millennials who, it's all about, and I think that's good. I guess my question is, it turned out to be the opposite. She was way better at communication than any of my guy inspectors, and intuitive, I guess. Right. I guess my question is, have you bumped into the old guard, good old boy thing? And I know you're in home inspector that sits there, and they love you, and you're very good at, I think you've got a talent for that. But I'm just curious, what your experience has been. Have you had to overcome that? You seem to be doing well.
Yeah, I think that, from women, a few women, some of the older agents that are women, they are actually the ones who are more put their nose down at me. I think that's going to change.
Yeah.
I don't think that's going to stay the same. I can tell right now I'm in a trend where, like, next week, or in, what's today, the 13th, in 9 stinking days, I am hosting, or I'm sponsoring the luncheon for a 4-county board of realtors. So
nice.
yeah, that's kind of a big deal. And I think that's going to be a huge turning point as far as even how some people might view me there, because I'm going to bring up all the things that I have done to get to where I am today, all the things that I've studied and researched. When people ask, I actually participate in the education process. Some people know this. If you follow me at all on my Facebook stuff, I do go to the Home Inspection Training Institute, and for one day, I get 1 day to sort of train with and help the new inspectors with their education. And that's really exciting. That's once a month. So, as far as the guys, no, I have not actually had any resistance from men. They are very enthusiastic, I guess. But like you said, I know how to deal with men. I'm like you. I'm charming and funny, and you can get away with a lot of stuff if you're kind of charming, like if you have a good enough personality and you're able to speak semi-eloquently, and be able to translate things into productive thoughts, that kind of thing.
Right.
People respond well to, like you said about your female inspector, people respond really well to good conversationalists.
Right.
So I haven't had
a good inspector too. I didn't mean to take away from her inspection skills. She was a good inspector too, but the thing I didn't realize was she communicated so well. It was really an asset that I didn't even think about,
Yeah, and I think that's what my social work background has done for me, honestly, is a really effective communicator. Because here's the thing, and no offense against you guys, but one thing you guys totally lack in is the ability to listen. You don't. I mean, let's be honest. I mean, y'all are like, it's like just being in traffic noise all the time. You can't hear us. Right. And when a when a woman or when a young couple is trying to buy a home for the first time, and they are being thrown from the bank or to the mortgage company or to the appraiser or to their agent, to the listing agent, they're going from person to person to person, and they are feeling completely out of control. And what are we doing? And what were we thinking? And nobody is listening to us. Right. Then I'm there to listen to them. And that's what I do. I probably get a little too emotionally involved with everybody, or at least it comes across that way. I'm not going to say it doesn't come across that way. I mean, they like it. They respond well to it. They really appreciate being heard. Right. And so I think being still during the inspection walkthrough, I'm still with them. I listen to their concerns. And I tell them mine, of course, but that goes that's just huge. And that's more important to me than having 200 inspections a month, because right. That's not what I'm here for right now. What I'm here is, my slogan is not just a slogan. It's bridge the gap between client and construction. And that's really what I wanted to do.
I like it. I like it.
As easy as it sounds.
No, I think you've got a good thing there, and I like it. It kind of, have you ever read that book? And I think you're right on. It was an old book. Men Are from Mars, Women Are from Venus.
I remember that. Yes.
Yeah, it's like 30 years ago. But one of the big things was, and it's kind of true, that men and I don't want to make the whole interview about that, but I did want to address that. What was it that men, when you start telling, my wife, when I come home, she'll start telling me about it, and I jump to, I don't know, I guess I don't listen. You're right. I'm like, and then she'll ask me about my day, and it was pretty boring the first time. I don't really want to rehash it unless I saw, a wreck or somebody told me a funny joke or something. I was like, but according to that book, and there's some truth in it, we just skip to our fix-it hat or whatever, put our fix-it hat on. What's the problem? Let's fix it. But we don't listen. Right. And a lot of times you just want to be heard, so. Anyway.
Well, and that fix-it hat is intimidating to your clients.
Right.
What's not intimidating is when you say, well, how do you feel about that? Or what are your questions or concerns about that? That's not intimidating, because then you're allowing them, I always talk about when I go to these classes that I help train at the Home Inspection Institute, I always talk about what is everybody's favorite topic? Themselves.
Yeah.
Themselves. They want to talk about themselves,
That's true.
So if you allow them to talk about themselves, my reports are going to have more than enough information in it, so if we don't get to all of that during the walkthrough, they're going to get it, but if they're allowed to be free to be themselves for the first time in this home buying process, because you can't be yourself in front of a lender, you can't be yourself in front of an agent, you can't be yourself there. So right. Anyway, to address that, so what do I bring to the table? That's what I bring to the table. I think obviously I study a lot. I study probably more than I should. I spend a lot of time on education so that I can effectively say things to my clients on site. Sometimes I get tongue-tied. It's like I said, I also deal with the general anxiety disorder. So so I am always concerned, am I going to make myself look stupid? Am I going to say something I don't mean to say, call something a girder when it's not a girder, right. I've had those moments. What was I thinking? I called it a girder, kind of thing. Anyway.
Yeah, don't worry about it. You're doing great. But you're right. I remember the first time I bought a house, I went through that process. This was a long time ago, and you feel like you're shuffled through, and it's almost like a factory or something. It's like you go here. And I remember sitting down at the lender, and back then everybody did it at the end of the month because there was some sort of tax advantage. I can't really remember. But right. Anyway, it's like the last 2 days of the month and everybody's in the office. I mean, everybody. It's you. 15 minutes later, it's somebody else. Boom, 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 boom. And they put all these papers down in front of you. And you got to sign like 40 some papers. And they're all like this. And they're like, well, do you have any questions? And I'm like, well, shit, I don't have time to read this. I mean, and there's like all these people coming in, waiting on you to get in here next. I mean, you don't have time to read. And I did. I felt like I'm just looking at my realtor, back then I don't even think I had an inspector, before I got into it. I mean, we're talking 30, but I'm like, I'm looking at them going, all this is legit, right? Because
right.
Is this normal? I don't know. I'm just signing. I could have been signing my life away for all I know.
Exactly. You kind of were.
I was. When they show you that, what you pay for your house after 30 years with all.
Dad, go. I know. Ow.
It's a scary thing. Well, Megan, so how do you handle phone calls and scheduling? How do you do that?
I'm busy right now. I will tell you. I'm about to. So my husband does appraisals. I do home inspections. Can you imagine what our household is like right now? It's freaking psychotic. I mean,
okay.
it's like, I mean, we sleep 5 hours a night. We work around the clock. We were just talking about today, we need a day off. So anyway, we just hired somebody for our office. We turned our living room into our whole living room is now our whole office. And we just hired somebody part-time to start doing things like eventually answering calls. But I answer calls even when I'm in a crawl space right now or in an attic. It's difficult to multitask and manage all those things, especially if somebody's wanting a quote for a home that sounds like a home you need to look up, because I look up homes a lot of times before I give them a quote. And I'm running out the door to go to an inspection and, kind of thing. And it's like, okay. And now I know I'm about to have this 15-minute phone call with this person.
Right.
I'm really OCD, and if I'm not 30 minutes early to an inspection, well, then I'm late, and I get real panicky. I just always need to be ahead of the timeline kind of thing. So, anyway, but I do really well with scheduling. I always say I think my rate is 90%. When somebody calls me, 90% of the time they're going to book with me.
Good. I'm gonna tell you though, don't get mad at me, but that's your next thing. Get somebody to answer those phones.
Yeah, I know. That's what I'm saying. It's too much.
Yeah, well, you'll make and I know I was there. I mean, I used to do 2-3 inspections a day, and I was writing stuff down in the crawl space. What's the address again? I'm writing it down in the dirt. What's that?
I've done that. Oh my gosh! And you start sweating. You know what I mean? Like, I'm gonna get this. What's your email address?
And I'm just thinking, if I can get enough information, I can go back and look it up, when I get back. But but definitely, and then I went from there to a call center, and the call centers are good. I mean, it costs some money. It depends on which one you get. I mean, do your research on that.
Okay. I have a really hard time with the call center. You know why? Because I hate call centers. I mean, I hate automated people on the planet. If you were going to say what would make Megan crazy,
okay,
call in to anywhere where it's going to be a representative who's paid to talk to me.
Right.
And I hate their voices. I hate they're so not organic to me.
Right.
And that's part of the process that I really like. When I get to talk to a client, we get to have an organic connection. I usually talk to them about, what's making you move into our area, or where are you coming from? Because a lot of people here are moving from Atlanta to the mountains.
Gotcha. Well, here's a thought. I mean, the way I did it was originally I did all the, inspection scheduling and everything. I'm writing stuff down in there. And then I got a call center, like a part-time call center, and I just had them answer it while I was doing inspections.
Okay.
So then you know, I could call the people back and I would have them tell them, say, you know, Preston's doing an inspection right now, but I could go ahead and get all the information and what times you would like it, you know, and he could call you back later. And I agree with you. I mean, you know, I hate calling some thing and it's like, what department and this and, oh yeah, well, let me transfer it. I'm like, cannot anybody do anything here?
Right.
I mean,
Right. Yeah, it drives me crazy.
But at some point, you're going to start getting busier and busier. It's going to be tougher and tougher. And, you know, I'm not, hope you don't think I'm coming across as, you know, but then eventually, because most of the call centers operate, there's a base fee and so much per inspection, you know, and it's, you know, I don't know, $20 an inspection. And, you know, that gets, golly, I'm paying them $20 an inspection, but they got that inspection for me that I wouldn't have got. But at some point, you're paying them enough, like, wait a minute, I could hire somebody now.
Right.
You know, and you can hire somebody to answer the phone and do all that stuff, and then maybe do a little bit of marketing stuff too. You know, when they're not answering. Please, I hope you don't think I'm lecturing, but that's just kind of how I evolved. And you're probably going to, because at some point you're going to hit critical mass where I can't be the Megan that I want to be at these inspections and be the Megan answering the phone at the same time. You know?
And I mean, I don't know if it's just the season, like because we're in that season, but I'm getting, I mean, I'm hovering on that line right now, you know, because you know how it is. People are texting you, calling you, well, let me ask you one more question, or let me, you know what I mean, kind of thing. And I love all my clients. I mean, I'll let them know, call me anytime if you have a question, you know. And I hope I make them feel comfortable enough to do that, and oftentimes they do, which I don't, you know. So I like that.
Right.
My service doesn't stop once the inspection report is sent. You know, how would I truly be what I say I am?
Sure. I got a feeling your clients probably like talking to you too, so they want to talk. But you know, maybe if they could get something that like, go ahead and give me your times that you would like, and blah, 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 and Megan will call you back later. I don't know. I'm just throwing it out there as a possibility.
No, I agree. I mean, that's correct. We're heading in that direction just because we're doing both deals now. And one of the things that we're going to add on my website is to do what's it called? What are we adding?
Like an automated
No, an equity analysis, because everybody wants to know. Oh, should I not be saying this? Nobody else do this, okay? Everybody, as soon as, you know, so they know often that we do real estate appraisals and home inspections, and so they want to know how much equity they're getting in the home.
Right.
One of the services that we're about to start out there offering is equity analysis.
I think that's awesome.
Yeah, it is. I'm so stoked.
Well, you guys got the twin. I mean, you could offer, because I've always thought about that. I was like, what if you could combine something else? You know, man, that's awesome. That might give you a great, you know, one-stop shop in there. And
I know. Well, because agents can't come up with an equity analysis appropriately. They can't do what an appraiser can do. They don't even have access to the stuff that an appraiser does. I mean, realistically, as far as, you know, all the range of stuff that you have to have in order to complete a true equity analysis, you know.
Sure.
So,
I think that's awesome. I think that's awesome.
Yeah, it's a secret though, so we're not telling you.
All right, I will only sharing it with usually 300 people listen to this.
Yeah,
so, all 300, John will tell anybody. Well, cool. Well, Megan, switching gears just a little bit. Do you have a success quote you'd like to share with us?
Yes, don't turn back. That's my success quote. That's, you know, every time I thought I was going to give up, I said, no, I'm not going to turn back. I'm going to keep moving forward. And I had some trials and tribulations this past year. I don't know if you know, but a lot of people in the uncensored group knew. My mom died. I'm sorry.
Yeah, it's got to be a tough day for you too.
Yeah. Yeah, it's a little awkward, but she passed away in February. And so, you know, as I said, like last year was really hard. I mean, you know, I didn't think I was going to make it. And then December came and I was like, yes, I've arrived, you know, woohoo. I'm like doing inspections on Christmas Eve and stuff like that, you know. I was like all excited about it, you know.
Right.
That was, you know, my Christmas present was to get to do inspections on Christmas Eve. But anyway, and then at the end of February, my mom passed away, and I was like, oh, systems shut down. You know what I mean?
Right.
And I sat there and I was like, I put in so much effort and love and energy and, you know, perfectionism into this business. You know, I've got to get up. I've got to get up and not do this and don't turn back again, you know, kind of thing. So I was able to pull through that. It was very difficult, but you know, I mean, I just think if I could be successful in this industry, nobody has an excuse.
I like it. I love it. That right there is worth the price of admission. That was inspiring. I like it. Well, let's say, Megan, I'm a buyer or real estate agent in your market. There are other home inspectors in your market, and you're, for all the listeners out there, I don't know if I said, I looked it up and talked to you. You're between Atlanta and the state line, right? So you're kind of midway. Sort of, you're near the Appalachians a little bit, right?
Yes. Yeah. Okay. I can see the hills from my yard.
Cool. Are you close to Jasper? I've been to Jasper a couple of times. You ever been?
I'm not really close to Jasper. I'm you know, Helen. Everybody knows Helen.
That's where this movie was filmed.
Yes, yeah.
You got a pretty mouth.
Yeah.
Poor Ned baby.
Deliverance.
Yes.
Actually, Deliverance was filmed mostly in Rabun County, and I am there every week. And
oh, wow.
It's a very unique county to do home inspections in because you can build anything you want. You can build a matchstick house if you want with no permit.
Oh, nice. Yeah. All right. So there's other home inspectors in your market. Why should I hire you? Is there something you do that others don't?
Yeah, there is.
Okay.
Absolutely. I'll tell you.
Okay.
So my reports don't have any check boxes. There's no check box. And there actually aren't excessively long paragraphs. What there are is usually a minimum of 100 photos. And when I'm talking to a woman who is calling because her and her husband are buying her home, and I let her know that she's going to have 100 or more images of what I inspect so she can see exactly what I see and make her own decision as well as read my report, she likes that.
Cool.
And that's what happens.
Side question off the script. I'm curious, what inspection software do you use?
HomeGauge.
HomeGauge, yeah, that's what I started using. Do you use that automated repair request thing too on there?
No, I don't. Oh, yeah. The summary where the client can do a repair list.
Yeah, it comes up and there's 3 choices on each one, what to do.
Yeah.
Use that. Yeah. Clients seem to really like that.
They really use the heck out of that. Yeah, they like that.
All right, Russell, you can send a case of beer. I'll give you my address. No, I'm just saying that because I actually use it. I have not endorsed, but I will accept a case of beer, Russell, if you would like it.
Is that what you use right now? Is HomeGauge?
Yeah, we switched. We were using something else that we had used for like 10 years, and it was just getting kind of clunky, and I didn't feel like they were updating it. And actually, a couple of my competitors started using HomeGauge and started using that feature, and they were advertising it. And actually went to a realtor function, and 2 realtors came up to me and said, "Hey, Preston, do you have that thing where you can do that repair?" And I'm like, shoot, no, I don't. And so we made that switch.
Right.
And we like it. I mean, I know there's a lot of good softwares out there. I'm not saying one's better, or, whatever than the other or worse, but that feature is really cool. I will tell you that. They like it.
I'm going to go to the training with Ricky. I'm sure you know who Ricky is. Ricky
Yeah.
we're gonna go to the home games training. I mean, even though I've been using the software for a year, but I still just feel like because I trained myself. If there's something more that I can learn to improve, I'm gonna try and do that. So I'm gonna go to training next month.
In Asheville? In Asheville?
Yeah.
Oh, have you been to Asheville before?
Yes, I love it.
It's awesome. Hey, go to it's a little. There's some different people in Asheville, I'll tell you. But
I know.
It's a beautiful. But you're artsy. You probably like it, except so do I. So do I. I mean, but I got some good old boy friends like, hey, you ain't from around here. Are you? But there's if you go, last time I went, there's a couple of rooftop bars that are really cool. Like you can see, especially like at sunset, the city. Yeah. Gosh, there's one. I'll find out what the name of it is. I'll message you. I can't think of it right now. But it is awesome. You can like overlook, most of Asheville in the sunset. And it's they got all those craft beers and stuff.
Right. Awesome. I'll check it out. I'll check it out.
Sorry, my ADD. I need to take my pills.
I know. I got that too. I got all of it. You name it, I got it.
Squirrel. But anyway, let me get back to the question. There's other home inspectors in your market. Oh no. Well, you answered that one. All right, let's go on to the next question. Now, I know you don't have much spare time because you're getting a business off and running. Your husband has a business. You have 3 children. If you had spare time, what would you do? And tell us something most people don't know about you.
Well, most people don't know most things about me. I'm a pretty private person, but I believe in the power of illusion. Like, this is Megan, but really the real Megan's way back here kind of thing. Because like most people, like I said, wouldn't know that I have an anxiety disorder, which I'm just sort of getting comfortable with that, like even talking about that. But that would probably be the biggest thing. And as far as what people don't know about me, and I think that I know other inspectors that have it, and I don't think that should be overlooked because that's a true thing to overcome, to get up and go and put yourself out there in front of the public, in front of agents, in front of clients, going to the house. It's a real debilitating thing sometimes. So anyway, but what I do in my free time is, I do a lot of art nowadays. Actually, ooh. So I didn't do any for the last year. Actually, when I started the business, I didn't do anything artistic whatsoever. And then when my mom passed away, I decided it was time for me to start that back. So I did. So I've been painting again and doing different things. But soccer is our whole family thing. Oh, wait, no. What you don't know. This
okay. All right. She's looking around. If you're listening, she's looking around to see. Wow, this is going to be good.
It's not that exciting, but it is to me. We are foosball enthusiasts.
Oh, really? Wow. Yeah. Wow. Awesome. Like, you do the spin and all that stuff.
Yeah, no. Like, for real. Like, it's a big deal.
Okay.
So, we work all the time, and we'll take a 10-minute break out to play foosball. Like, we'll just look at each other and be like, it's time. It's time.
That's great. That's great.
It's such a big deal. And then we got, it was just my son's birthday, so we got one of those, like, big, mega, super deal air hockey tables.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Right.
But, of course, it's got my sample reports all over it right now, so we're not playing it. But anyway, but the foosball table is kind of a big deal. So
all the home inspectors out there listening, if you ever go to a conference and Megan's there, I can see her now hanging around the foosball table, and at first you'll probably be like, hey, teach me how to play this game. And then after that, it's like, hey, you want to make it a little more interesting? Would you like to play for money?
You want to bet?
Yeah.
Right.
Foosball hustler.
If I would known there was foosball tables at a conference, I'll go to every conference for a foosball table. You have no idea.
All right. You hear that, all you conference givers out there. Get a foosball table. That's right.
Yeah,
That's
Nick,
right.
Hey, Nick, will you send me a new foosball table? No, I'm kidding.
I hear you. And Russell too, because we gave him a little love on his report system. So
there you go. Yes, Russell foosball table. I'll see you my address.
There you go. Last question. We're up against the break here, and I appreciate. I'm sorry I'm taking your time, but I enjoy all the stuff, and I'm sure all the listeners enjoy what they're hearing. Megan, you know as well as I do that if you do enough inspections, you're going to have an unhappy camper. How do you handle an unhappy camper? Do you have a process? What's that look like?
My process is to listen. And that's, the worst part. The worst client that I've dealt with was,
don't say name. Don't say name.
No, I'm not going to say a name. It's just anyway, let's just say they were not from the South, and I have a strong Southern accent, and they made it very clear that I was not even understandable.
Oh my gosh.
And that was during the walkthrough. And it triggered, it hit for me kind of hard in that moment, and I had to like quickly collect myself because what do you say in that moment, when you're put down so poorly for that. So anyway, but it ended up working out well. I regrouped and I did some listening, and I tried to correct what I could. I mean, I can't very much do anything about my accent, but to try and slow down and appropriately relay everything I could, was the key there. As far as other unhappy clients, realistically, I feel like I do go the extra mile right now and spend time with my everybody, so that if they have an issue, they feel comfortable enough to call me. I mean, that's truly my goal with everybody, to keep everybody from being like, how many times have you heard somebody say they moved into a house and the HVAC broke down the next day? I mean, we've all heard that story. So I even like joke around and let them know, hey, there's 100 stories just like that out there. So don't let that be you, and make sure you get it serviced.
I like that. That's cool.
Yeah. So,
I want to back up on something you said there when that guy, basically took a shot at you. We all get something every now and then, and sometimes some people think that we're beneath them. We're blue collar or whatever.
Right.
I get a little bit of that, and I'm like, I have 3 degrees, right? And a master's degree. And, it takes 30 hours to get that real estate license. And I have that too, by the way.
Right.
But, I'm not trying to be arrogant, but that's what I'm thinking.
That's what you're thinking. Yeah.
The thing, and I know when somebody says that, you're immediately like red, The thing I've learned is, I can't control what other people say or do. I can only control what I say or do. And if I answer in anger or smart, I'm letting them dictate how I act.
Right.
And, and you see it sometimes on Facebook. People say, so you've definitely seen that, and they'll say something, it's personal or whatever. And, I'm just like, like I said, I can't control what they say, but I control what I say. And I'm not going to let you dictate how I behave. I'm going to let my behavior be a reflection of me, not a reflection of you. You went there, you can stay there. I'm not going there. I guess. But it's hard. It's easy to say that. It's a lot harder in the moment to do it.
No, I mean, I feel like I have the same philosophy. I mean, Facebook's a little differently because I have had to put on a suit of armor to go into Facebook, but I'm good with that. I'm pretty rough around the edges anyway, so that's fine. My rough edges are going to hit your rough edges sometimes in that uncensored group, Yeah. And most of it is pretty jovial and pretty funny, because anybody who I have any what may like appear as an angry comment to somebody else, that usually that's somebody I know. Like we talk, I have their numbers. We we exchange information regularly, so it's not real. It's not a real angry comment. It's a fun, we know we're both joking kind of thing. So not that
Awesome.
I don't know that I have a whole lot of that, but I talk to, I have I've got a ton of phone numbers in my phone that I call people, and I'm like, help, okay.
That's great. That's great.
I mean, I want to be educated.
Well, while we're on that topic, let's go there for a second, then we'll do a break.
Yeah.
I guess let's talk about it for a second. And I'd like to get your take on it. I'll give you my take. You give me your take.
Okay.
Like Facebook groups and forums. Yeah, let's talk about that for a second. I know there's a lot of, most people listening to this will probably, here's my take on it. Let me start off by saying, and it's no secret, in other podcasts, that's one of my questions. How do we keep it professional? Now, let me say this. I don't want to seem like a hypocrite. I think different opinions are great. I think that's how I read this thing one time. If everybody thought alike in the room, the intelligence of that room is only as intelligent as its smartest member. But
right.
If everybody in that room has different opinions and think differently, if they can talk or have discussions without it being personal or without egos getting involved, the intelligence of the group goes pshoof, because you have to have the ability to see the way another person sees something or thinks it, but they have to do it with you too. And the second it gets personal, that's when, all the stuff's off. Now, having said that, do I mind cursing? Yeah, it's fine as long as you don't say like bad words and stuff. I guess my whole thing has been, it's okay to disagree. It's not okay to disrespect. I like disagreement. I mean, don't get me wrong. I know that sounds a little crazy, but you're probably showing me a weakness in my argument or in my thing that I haven't thought of. And as long as we can discuss it, you know what? You're going to help me strengthen my argument. And the same thing, I might point out, a weakness in your argument, as long as it doesn't get personal. And I think the problem is our egos get attached to our opinions or our points of view. And when that happens, it's like we are not giving up, and you're a freaking idiot if you don't think the way I think. And that's problematic. I think, so I don't know. I encourage disagreement. Person doesn't bother me as long as it's not over the top. I just disrespect and when it gets personal, that's to me when it draws the line, crosses the line. That line's hard to find though. But anyway, what's your take on it?
I have one specific instance that I have stuck in my head concerning this. I was on, I don't remember which one it was, Inspector Brotherhood or one of the other ones. And there was 5 TBR posts, one after another, after another, after another, and they were the same thing by different people. And I'm sitting here going, okay, so I'm a female, so I have a different viewpoint. I'm thinking these are dudes. They should automatically know this stuff because I'm whatever. That's my own stigma. That's my own stigma that I have on you guys. Y'all should automatically be smarter than me. I should be the one trying to learn, right? But that's my issue. I know that. But I'm saying, it was one after another, after another, after another, all in the same site. And so anyway, so nobody was answering to one of the posts. Finally, like nobody was like responding. So I put a link with information on how to obtain the information. Right? To educate, because I feel like education is the key.
Absolutely.
I got attacked on that page for not giving the answer and giving just a link for information. And that is whenever I decided I don't participate much in those groups anymore. That's why I do participate in the uncensored group, because it was made very clear to me by several members that they just wanted a yes or no answer. And what's wrong with me? Why couldn't I just tell them yes or no? Why would, and so I was like, I was dumbfounded. I'm dumbfounded because you know why? Because for me, when I ask a question, I want the education portion of it. If you want to post a link so I can research it or a diagram, don't just tell me something, because you telling me something isn't going to educate me. I'm not going to hold on to that.
Yeah.
You know?
Yes, makes
so,
sense.
you know, but I think you and I are talking about two different things, you know, on some level. I've been attacked for my approach on that, and I have lashed back for my, you know, like, are you joking me? You know, you just want the answer? Then why are you an inspector?
Right.
You know, because I take everything I do very seriously. You know, I'm invested. I've invested my soul into inspection. I mean, literally into my business, into everything. So it's more than a yes or no answer to me. Everything is, you know. So anyway, so I don't know. I don't see a whole lot of what you see now. I don't think, just because now I'm free to goof off in the uncensored group and you know, be silly. But I also ask questions just the same as I would before. You know what I mean?
Right.
So, but I can ask the questions in a silly manner too. So that's fun. I mean, you know.
And they will point out if there's a hypocrisy. They'll point it out in a minute, but that's good.
Yeah, exactly.
That's good. You know, that's good. Well, I appreciate your opinion on that. I've come to the conclusion. I mean, people are always going to disagree, but that's not necessarily a bad thing. You know.
No, it's not. But I also don't have to. You know what I can do, and this is what I stopped. I stopped feeding into that.
Yeah.
I stopped reading that. I don't read it anymore. So you talking about it is almost foreign to me now. Unless it's going on in the uncensored group, I just stop, because if I'm feeding into that negativity, well, that's consuming me, and I choose not to do that.
I like it. All right. Well, Megan, we are going to move on. Well, I was going to say to better stuff, but that next question's a little tough. I'm looking at it. But I promise there's some happy questions coming.
Okay.
But let's, can we pause just a second for a sponsor?
Yes, please do.
This is Preston Sandlin with InspectedHouses.com. How many of you guys have ever had a real estate deal go south? I asked that very question in a group of realtors last week, and it was about 50-50. Half of them went south because of home inspection reasons, and the other half were because of appraisal reasons. And I kind of joked, and I was like, oh, those darn home inspectors, because they all know I'm a home inspector. They make our life miserable, and they all laughed. But then I said, was it really the home inspection or when the home inspection was performed? And what I mean by that is, let's take an example. You have a $250,000 house, they offer $240,000. You go back and forth, you settle on $245,000. Then you have a home inspection, and then there's $5,000 worth of damage, and neither side wants to budge. The deal's going south. And I said, what if that home inspection was done before the house went on the market, like a pre-listing inspection? That way we find out the damage ahead of time. We get it priced out. Maybe we get it done for $3,500. And now maybe we can ask a little more, maybe $252,000 or something. And now we only have to negotiate the price once, not twice. We don't have to do the BI and AI, negotiate the price before inspection and after inspection. Wouldn't that be great? And they all agreed. And I said, but the problem has always been talking the seller into doing it. Nobody wants to know the problems and they don't want to pay the money. Well, what if I told you we could solve two problems at once? The one problem being the timing of the inspection, and the other problem being leads generated off of your listing being sold back to you. And I'm here to tell you we can do that with InspectedHouses.com. So how does it work? Well, we do a pre-listing inspection on the house. We upload the report. Then we put a sign in the yard, and potential buyers come by and text off of the sign, or they can get the number off anything that you've got advertised for the market, or a code to go to it. So when they do that, we capture the lead, okay? Somebody downloads the report. It is for a certain amount of money. That money goes back to the seller to help them compensate for the price of the inspection. So we kind of alleviate that. Also, when the report is loaded, they have the option to send it to a national company to get $500 off towards the cost of their repair. So we can eliminate that. So we can find out the problems ahead of time. Everybody who downloads the report, they will get the report, but the realtor, will get the lead off of it. And each person who downloads it, you get the lead, you get to follow up with them, help your seller sell that house, but you may also pick up a buyer because everybody who downloads that report is buying a house. Maybe not this house, but they're buying a house somewhere. So for more information, go to inspectedhouses.com and check it out. I think we solved two problems. The problem of the timing of when the inspection is done, and you only have to negotiate the price once instead of twice, and also the problem of your leads being sold off of your listing back to you. You can create your own leads and get your leads off of your listing. So check out inspectedhouses.com. Thanks for listening.
All right. Well, I am back here with Megan Riley Wilson, and I will tell you this too. You probably just heard the message about the sponsor. Yes, I have a couple little things that I'm doing. I'm transparent about it. I have been approached by outside folks to sponsor my podcast, and I turned that down in the past because I'm like, you know what? I want this to be unbiased, and I want to hear from everybody. This organization, I've interviewed Nick, I've interviewed Frank Lesh, I've interviewed Nathan, I've interviewed you name it. And I know, each one of those people I said, some people love those people, some people do not love those people so much. But I wanted a totally vendor, I didn't want everything to be pro one because I want this to be about the home inspector. I'm a home inspector. This is how I make my living. This is how you make your living. Yes, I have a couple little products I'm trying to work and do, but so far I've made very little money on it, but that's another story. I make my money doing home inspections. So that's the way I always wanted this voice to be, or when I say the podcast, be a totally, everybody can talk here and it's equal time, and no, it's not pro this person or pro that organization or pro that vendor. Because I think sometimes when you start one thing, it's like all pro that vendor or pro that organization. Does that make sense? Am I totally like
Yeah, you're making sense.
babbling?
And you're babbling. Yes, you're babbling, but sensibly.
Let me get off of my soapbox now and get back to the interview. Sorry about that. Megan, tell us about a time you failed and what'd you learn from it?
Oh, I think I fail like once a week. I'm pretty sure I do. I usually tell this story a lot whenever people ask me about my business and my process in my businesses. My very first inspection, I failed epically. I was so nervous for this inspection, but long story short is I misidentified some plumbing. I said it was PEX and it was poly.
Oh, polybutylene.
Yeah. So I sent in this report, and I was sitting back in my chair. Do you even remember what it was like to send in your first report? Because I do. It took me 9 hours. 9 hours to get that.
My first report was on carbon paper.
Okay.
And you can't erase on carbon paper, but go ahead.
A little different, but
yeah.
Okay. So here I am. And I send this report in, and it's an agent. An agent is buying the house. And not only is it
gosh.
he is the president of the board of realtors.
Oh my gosh.
So I send this in, and I'm looking at it, and I'm feeling so pleased. I'm just like, I'm scrolling through it, and I'm like, and then I look at the pipe, and I look at the marking, and I look at what I said it was, and I'm like, what in the world? And I thought, that's it, my career's over.
Can you unsend?
Can you unsend? Exactly. Can you unsend? I got in my car, I went directly to the woman's house that I had inspected, and I asked her if I could get into her crawl space, and she said yes, you're a sweet lady. And I took some additional images, and I redid the report, and I called the agent, and I let her know I needed to make an amendment to the report, and that I had mistakenly labeled something. And I added all the additional information. I mean, and I put so much, I went over and beyond. I mean, I discussed the chemical reaction of poly with, city water and yada, 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 because this house was on a well. Sorry, I've been getting over allergies. Anyway, so I did all this stuff, and she didn't buy the house, and she never called me again. But in that moment, I thought that was it. My career's over. But you know what? I didn't look back. I had to move forward from that, because if I would have stayed in that moment like I wanted to, my natural instinct is to stay in that moment, that self-pity, like I'm a terrible person. Look what I did. I ruined, excuse me, this inspection. But I didn't. And I was able to pick up and move forward. And guess what? I don't know. 3 days later, I had another inspection. And I'm sure I did something wrong on that one too. I've gone back and reviewed some of my inspection reports originally, and they're terrible.
I look back at some of the old reports. I'm like, it's a wonder I didn't get sued to pieces.
I know, they're terrible. And you know what? I'm glad I can say that. I'm glad that I can say, oh my gosh, last year my reports were terrible. And I hope the next year I can say, last year my reports were terrible. I'm doing so much better. I want that trend to continue.
And it will. And as long as you learn from it. And, that's the thing, and I don't mean to bring the forums back into it, but, all the experts on there, you had a first inspection too, Mr. Expert. Exactly. You had a second inspection. The greatest brain surgeon in the world had a first surgery. I mean, right. And I'm sure they weren't as good then as they are now. And sometimes I argue they may have been better then than they are now, because sometimes their attitude was a lot better back then. Sometimes people get a little too high and mighty, later. But anyway, you know what? We've all got burned. I tell all my guys, I say, you know what? If you get burned on something, you'll never get burned on that exact same thing ever again. You'll get burned on something else.
Oh, yeah. You learn. Okay,
I am back to your mind. Is that PEX or is that polyethylene?
Exactly.
You will never miss, do that one again. Now, you'll get burned on something else, but not that one particular thing. And as time goes by, there's less and less things you'll get burned on because they're all in the back of your mind.
Right.
I tell my guys that all the time.
My intro, go ahead. I was going to say my intro to my report, and somewhere in the paragraph it says, I am but human. You know what I mean? Like, it does say that literally. Your inspector may make a mistake. I am but human. Try,
I tell people, I said, look, I'm, in the time that I'm here, I inspect every house like it's for a family member that I like. Yeah. And I said, here's the thing. I look at every house as a haystack, and there's a certain number of needles in that haystack. And there's a couple of big ones. Every inspector should see get those big ones. But the small ones, I'm going to get some that you're not going to get. You're going to get some that I'm not going to get. That's what I always say, like pre-inspections, because, somebody's going to come and re-inspect it. And I say, I'm going to tell you, they're going to come behind me and they're going to find something. I'm going to go behind them and find something. Now, if it was something small, expect it. Our experience is a little different. But, if I miss that rotted band seal, then I need to refund your money for that pre-inspection. I should, if a house has 4 big things, both inspectors should find those 4 things. But now their list of 15, 20 other things is going to be different. It's going to be different. And, it's a subjective thing, It's not true or false. It's an essay question, Awesome.
Yeah.
Are you still there? It froze up for a second. You still there, Megan?
I lost you for a second. Are you there?
Yeah.
I'm here.
It froze up for just a second. Well, on the other end of the spectrum, Megan, tell us about I Made It woman, or I come along with. I wonder what's going on. Well, I still got your audio, so We can keep doing that on the audio thing. Tell us about a I made it moment or a come a long way moment.
You see that? It says internet is unstable.
Uh,
Is that yours or mine?
I got 3 out of 4 little things. I don't know. We're almost done. Hopefully we get through it.
Okay, say the question one more time.
On the other end of the spectrum, like we talked about a moment you failed. What's a moment like you've said you thought you'd come a long way, or I made it moment, that sort of thing?
I probably have those every week too. I mean, every time I get in the car and I'm on my way to an inspection. Oh, every time I get in my truck and I'm on my way to an inspection. Because by the way, I just bought a truck and it makes me so happy. But anyway, that was kind of a big moment for me. It's an old truck. I paid as much for it as probably somebody would pay for a newer truck, but I love it.
What'd you get? I have to ask. You have to tell everybody.
It is a 91 Toyota Baja, and the tires are about as big as I am.
Nice.
Yeah.
Nice.
And the fenders flare out like wings. Anyway.
Well, Toyotas, if you keep the oil change, I mean, they'll go forever and a day.
Yeah, it's such a unique truck. But anyways, it's so old that I love it. So the big aha moment for me is being able to, last year when I started this, I was like, oh man, I really need a truck. I didn't have a truck. I had a telescoping ladder in my mom's sedan. Okay, that's how I started inspections, in a freaking sedan. Okay, and anyway, so yeah, my truck doesn't have air conditioning, and it does not bother me a dang bit.
Oh, that's awesome. That's awesome.
Yeah.
Cool. Well, Megan, I know you don't have much time to read these days, but because you're just busy, do you have a favorite book you recommend to our listeners? And what is it about the book you like?
That's a terrible question for me. I'm a nonfiction person. I don't do a whole lot of the kind of reading that I do is like I read a daily meditation. Those are the books that I read. I mean, they're not really interesting fictional books. I mean, this is what stays by can you see it?
Yeah, the National Home Exhibit.
Yeah, this is what I live by. I've got like little tabs and everything in it. I mean, I have a collection of books somewhere in a box, but I can't even begin to remember what book I read last right now. My brain's fried.
It's very hard. But hey, I'll tell you this. While you're in that truck, podcast, one thing, but also audible.com. I think you can get 2 books a month for $20, and you can listen, just because we have a lot of windshield time, and I call it Windshield University,
Yeah.
Always trying to listen to business stuff I hope I don't come across preachy, but I just, I've listened to every song a million times. I mean, I don't need to hear that again. I need to hear something that's going to open my mind up a little bit. You know what I mean?
Right.
But
I like that.
Audible.com, I highly recommend. Well, just a couple more questions, Megan, I'll let you go. You've been in this about a year, but I'm sure you've seen a lot. You've got a lot of friends. How do you think, and I know you don't have a crystal ball, but how do you think inspections will change in the future?
I don't know. There's a lot of controversy between all the agencies and organizations and things like that. I would like to see that die down and pass. Like you talk about with the whole Facebook thing, as far as there being controversy between people, I would really like the organizations and the agencies, to show their real integrity a little bit better. I've seen some really nasty stuff, and And it does make me question, okay, what is this agency or organization or company or service or vendor? What are they, what's going on with them really that they would behave like that? So, from the everyday person, from the everyday inspector, it's one thing I can be like, okay, well, sometimes you go in there and you let steam off, but from the larger owners, I would like to see less anger and less, I guess,
Mudslinging.
hate.
Yeah. No, I totally agree. My daughter told me, not the last election, but I think the election before, she was a lot younger. She was like 5 or 6 years old or something. I don't know. You know how during the election time, all the ads are on the radio constantly. You can't escape.
Yeah.
And she turned to me. She said, "Daddy, how come they don't tell the good things they're going to do if they're elected instead of saying all the bad things the other person's going to do
Right.
if they're elected?" And I'm like, and I'm not picking sides. I'm just saying, you should run.
Right.
You get a 5-year-old kid gets it, or 6, however old she was. Like, yeah, really.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I'd like to see that from all the folks you talked about. Instead of talking about how bad the other person is, talk about what you're going to do. Or I hope I'm not.
I agree. Hold on, my cat's attacking me. He just climbed up my leg. Anyway, somebody dumped a box of kittens at the end of our driveway, and we are such sad. Yeah, we're like, okay, we'll take you in. We're gonna have a farm one day. Everybody's just gonna keep dumping their animals here. Anyway, yeah, I agree. I think the politician thing is kind of really similar. It's like I see so many good things out of these same people. So then when I hear something or when I witness something negative, it just confuses my senses is all. Like, then I'm starting like, well, I don't know what to trust. You know what I mean?
Right. No, I totally get it. And I totally agree. It's kind of like, I totally get it. I want to affirm what you're saying, but I can't say it better than you said it.
Yeah.
All right. Megan, just a few more. I'm sorry I'm holding you up. I'm, like I said, my ADD. Have you ever been thrown under the bus by a contractor? If you haven't, you will, because I'll tell you how the call will go. You probably got it. Hey, you inspected my house 6 months ago, and my contractor said you should have seen. What do you think about that? I don't really know what I'm asking. I don't think we can really stop it, but how would you handle that?
I got that call. Actually, I got the call last week. I've had 2 calls like that, but one specifically was last week. It was a for sale by owner house. And she said, you said my cast iron drain line was leaking, and I have a plumber here, and he can't find it. And you need to talk to him. Here. And she handed the phone to the plumber.
And of course,
like,
I don't even know what house. It was months ago. What house are you even talking about?
Right. What are you talking about? So, yeah, that's exactly how it was. So once I realized what house, so I told him where it was. I was like, it's, near the, masonry block column, okay, in the middle of the house. What do you mean you don't know where it is? He's like, well, I just checked it and it's not there. I said, okay, well, that's okay. That's good. I said, I just have images of it being actively leaking whenever I was there. But if it's not now, then that's great. You should write a letter up and give that to the homeowner to let them know that, you verified it was clear. And that's what I said.
They won't do it.
Up on me. No.
That plumber was her brother-in-law or something, probably.
Exactly. What are they talking about? I don't care if it's wet or dry, but I have pictures of it being leaking, dripping. You know what I mean? Right.
I've had those type of things, and I always say, you know what? I could be wrong, but have that professional, just like you said, have them write a letter saying they guarantee that, and they'll never do it. They'll never do it. I said, well, if they won't write that letter, how sure are they?
Exactly. Did they really check it?
Yeah, and they love it. I've had that same type of thing. Well, just a few more here. what's the best part of your job and why, and what's the worst part of your job and why, Megan?
Oh, the best part. Everything that I invest in is my own. You know what I mean? I'm no longer investing my life for somebody else's business, and the rewards of that internally are probably bigger than anything. Because I have always been a work ethic, a workforce kind of personality anyway, but I was working for somebody else's cause, you know, and I'm working for my own cause now. And that's a good feeling, you know. It's like my business is my own bank, my own emotional bank, really. You know what I mean? Because you invest your time and you know what it's like. You end up taking away from other people in your life to invest in your business in that first run of it. I'm assuming that gets better when you're at where you're at. Maybe you have more free time.
Well, don't get your hopes up too much.
Yeah, well, I mean, I'm not, but
no, I mean, I
that's
didn't mean
the best
like,
part. Yeah.
Awesome.
No, I know.
I didn't mean to be. I didn't mean to be a buzzkill, but you know, I'm in this multi-inspector group thing, and one guy was talking about, you know, he started getting more inspectors, and his problems started increasing. I'm like, yeah, well, imagine, you know, however many problems you have now, multiply that times the number of guys, and it's probably going to be worse because they're not going to be quite as conscientious as you. I mean, they're still good, but when it's your business, you're a lot more conscientious. So there's some rap song I put on there. Remember that more money, more problems?
Yes, that's it.
There's some truth to that. Well, Megan, if you had to move to a brand new market, if you woke up in the morning, brand new market, equal to the size, you know, everything about the same size you're in, you still have your truck, you still have, you know, your husband, kids, room and board, everything taken care of, but you just don't know anybody, and you got to start all over. And you had $5,000. What are you going to do in that first week market your business with $5,000?
Do I have business cards? Because I'd make business cards and probably go out and just start meeting people everywhere. Probably the biggest thing is I'd get involved in my community, because my community is small. And the more I'm out there, the more I'm involved in the community events, the more my name is repeated again and again and again. So that way, when somebody says, hey, you should try Bridge Home Inspection, and they're like, oh, I know who that is. That's my kid's soccer coach, you know, or that's my whatever, or I've seen her out in public, or, you know what I mean? I've seen that car before. I've seen that sign on that truck before. So it's about repetition. You know, I don't think that it would, you know, I would get business super, super fast, but I know that repetition is the key, because it certainly has worked for me.
Wise words indeed. Wise words. Well, Megan, last question. Is there anything that I should have asked you that I didn't?
Yes. What color are my favorite socks?
What color are your favorite socks? You can't put them on screen, can you?
I know. Do I have them? I don't think I have them nearby. I just wore them yesterday. They're about 6 different colors, so that was a trick question. And they have hearts on them. So pretty. Hearts and stripes and zebra prints. Yeah.
Awesome.
All of the above. So,
I would encourage you.
Get rid of socks, send them to me.
All right. I would encourage you to make that part of your presentation, and maybe a Facebook post today. And I don't know. People like that, man. They like that quirky little, I don't know. You know, we're all so bored, I think, because there's so many patterns in our lives. And I think if there's a little pattern interrupt, and it'll make you smile or make you laugh, you know, it's a welcome. Exactly. It's a welcome thing. Well, Megan, thank you so much. You've dropped a lot of gold nuggets. If people wanted to know more about you, don't give out your cell number, but or find out more about you. Is there an email? And oh, wait a minute. What's your, all the listeners, if you got value out of this, and you know you did, go to her Facebook page and give her some likes. What's your Facebook page,
Megan? It's Facebook at Georgia Certified. So it's under Bridge Home Inspection, LLC.
Bridge Home Inspection. go to the Facebook page, give her some likes. And how could they, if they wanted to know more about you or ask you some questions, is there an email or some way they could contact you?
Yeah, two ways. My newest and most improved website is inspectnega.com, like Northeast Georgia.
It's awesome, by the way. I checked it out before the interview. I meant to ask you, who did your website? It's cool. It's cool.
Well, I'm gonna not reveal that until I determine how much in love with it I am. So it's a new website. So we'll see.
Okay. Okay.
If I'm gonna give them referrals yet. But my email address is all spelled out, no abbreviations, bridgenortheastgeorgia.com@gmail.com.
Bridge Northeast Georgia at gmail.com. Or go to Bridge Home Inspection on Facebook. Probably if you search for it, I mean, it'll probably pop up. Like your page. If you got something from this, say something nice about it. You give her, I think it helps with search engine or something. Well, thank you, Megan. Happy Mother's Day. I appreciate you taking the time, and I'm sure the listeners appreciate it as well. So I will catch you on the flip side.
All right. Deuces.
Let me hit the thing.